Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. Make sure you smash that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So I come to you guys today with some fairly good news, some confusing news, but some good news nevertheless, out of the great state of Pennsylvania. Donald Trump fell just short in the state of Pennsylvania in the 2020 presidential election. However, the Republican-led initiative to restrict the powers of Governor Wolf in terms of the lockdown seems to apparently have passed. And the AP called it. There was a lot of outstanding vote left in the Philly suburbs that was pouring in, a lot of, mail-in votes, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be enough. And there is obviously some vote left in the state of Pennsylvania in terms of the Philadelphia area. But if you look at this, the initiative currently is winning by close to 7 percentage points. And in fact, with just 10% of the vote left, which is probably going to be a few 100,000 votes, there's a Republican lead in the state of what looks to be 140,000 votes. Now, this is huge. And it's especially huge when you go down and you look at what's in Philadelphia, because turnout, yes, in Philadelphia was fairly low, even though there was some, local elections that were taking place. But Republicans, even though some of it is mail-in votes, but a lot of it also is in-person ballots, they're at 33%. And you talk about the demography of Pennsylvania in terms of Philadelphia. A lot of black voters, a lot of Hispanic voters. Mainly the Hispanic voters and the white working class voters living in Philadelphia pushed the county to the right by 4 points in the 2020 election. And you're seeing this massive shift. I mean, yes, it's low turnout, obviously, but you see a massive shift in Philadelphia. And obviously, we talk about the swing map and how strange it was. Obviously, Green has not finished counting yet. But a lot of the, Trump counties were not voting against the lockdown initiative that would have restricted Governor Wolf's powers as much as they voted for Donald Trump. Now, some ballots are still outstanding. There are some weird swing anomalies in terms of like Tioga County and the county next to that. The county next to that may have some in-person votes left to count that will obviously push it to the right. But you look at this, like Dauphin County, Harrisburg, like Pittsburgh's all in, Bucks County. It seems like the white working class areas that were around like major urban cities, those are the places where, yes, actually outperformed Donald Trump. But it seems like maybe some of the rural counties where the local lockdown restrictions were not as harsh, those were the counties that typically underperformed Donald Trump, even, significantly in some places. And this is important to take note. But either way, it was a pretty good night for Republicans if you talk about down ballot. I mean, if you want to look at the elections that were taking place for the legislative races, the 22nd district, this district voted Democrat by 24 points in 2020, voted Democrat by just 13. Now, keep in mind the Green Party candidate did take some votes away from the Democrat, but still the Republican did outperform the Republican in 2020, and the fact that the margins were cut is a very good sign for the Republicans, especially in that district. This district was Lackawanna County, Luzerne County, kind of Joe Biden's birth area. Now, the 48th district, Republicans did outperform their margins in 2020 by what looks to be around 3 or 4 points, but there were some conservative third-party candidates that were really taking away for their margins there. In terms of the House district, the 59th, still some votes left to count. You talk about Westmoreland and Somerset County, which is part of this as well. Now, Republicans ran unopposed last time. Keep in mind, in Somerset County, it was roughly 77-21 this time. A little bit less than that in this House district, but I don't believe that the House district encompassed the entire county. As you can see here, it probably only encompassed the top of Somerset County as well as some of Westmoreland, which voted for Trump by 28 points. But where in Westmoreland is the real question. That is what needs to be taken into account. If you look at Westmoreland County, actually, roughly in line with Trump for the whole county. If you want to look at the 60th House district out of the state of Pennsylvania, Abby Major won 76-19. Very, very strong showing out of Butler County, outperforming Trump, although it is a rural part of Butler County that's a part of the district. In Armstrong County, all of the vote is in out of Armstrong County. If you want to look at Armstrong County, roughly actually outperforming Donald Trump in Armstrong County, in Butler County, and Indiana County, actually outperforming him as well, if not in line with his results. So that is a very good sign for Republicans. They are, overperforming slightly. But the bottom line is it doesn't matter how crazy the map looks. It doesn't matter how we try to explain the map. What really does matter is that this initiative passed through. And the energy is on the anti-lockdown side. That is a grassroots issue, which typically is tied to the Trump type of energy. And that is a good thing to take notice on. And that is a very solid thing to remember moving forward, especially in terms of the 2022 midterms, because this is a state where you're going to have a very competitive governorship and you're going to have a very competitive Senate seat on the line. Now, personally, if Republicans are outperforming Trump in the suburbs in terms of the Republican leading initiatives, then that is a very good sign for the challenger to John Fetterman in terms of their ability to drive up the turnout in some of these suburban areas to make up some of those losses that Donald Trump had. But also you have to talk about the statewide results because, yes, Republicans did have a good showing statewide. They outperformed Trump in some of these legislative districts, but the initiatives didn't always overperform Trump. So maybe they do need to focus on getting that rural turnout. And I think somebody like Sean Parnell, maybe Lou Barletta, if he runs again, could do that. Obviously, Barletta had some issues because Bob Casey is a legend in Pennsylvania. Nobody was beating Bob Casey that year, especially because it was a blue wave year. But you never know. Maybe it's going to be Barletta or somebody else going for the governorship. They probably are going to have a very good chance at winning in the state of Pennsylvania. Because, again, this is a state that many people say is ground zero for 2022. Republicans need to start making those gains back, the marginal gains they lost in places like the Rust Belt, and with the energy factor on their side, I believe they possibly can. Now, it wasn't a massive overperformance in Pennsylvania, but it seems like when it's all said and done, this initiative, when it is finished, is probably going to pass by 2 to 3 percentage points or so. Is it possible that the AP made the call early and it possibly could go to no? I mean, the possibility is there, but it's very slim. AP rarely makes a call where they have to retract, and it's likely that there are not going to be enough outstanding ballots to prevent yes from getting over the finish line, especially because it was kind of surprising to see the results out of Philadelphia. Black and Hispanic voters may be, Democrats, but at the same time, maybe they don't really like the lockdowns as much as people would have, already assumed. That needs to be taken into consideration. But I really am shocked that, almost half of the state of Pennsylvania would vote for more government control, to expand the powers or to keep the powers in place of the governor there that has locked down the state for months on end. It's kind of a little strange to me. But still, I mean, there's all these polls that have come out that say 60, 70% of people agree with the restrictions. Well, not here. Not here. The number looks to be below 50% in a state that Donald Trump didn't even carry in 2020. So apparently the election mafia, once again, proven wrong about some of these lockdown measures that a lot of Trump voters see as tyrannical measures. And it seems like in Pennsylvania, these measures were rejected because people seem to be fed up. And I don't think that the lockdowns are a winning issue for the Democrats anymore. I really don't believe that they are. And that means that if they try to push them into 2024, that the Republican presidential nominee is likely to win off of that issue in some of these key states. Now, it's also important to keep in mind that you have, Gretchen Whitmer's reelection bid coming up in the state of Michigan. Will the rural areas be energized to turn out against Whitmer? It's very possible. It is. Now, we are going to have to see what happens. James Craig is a phenomenal candidate that will be running. I really hope he goes for the governorship. John James should probably go for the House. I don't want to risk him losing 3 statewide elections in a row. Even if, he was the best candidate in all 3 of them, it really doesn't matter. James Craig, I think, is a much better candidate. He can beat Whitmer. I don't think he's guaranteed to beat Whitmer, but of anybody out there, he can do it. very few people actually can beat Whitmer. That needs to be taken into consideration. But Pennsylvania, again, keep this in mind. This map here, that's a swing map. That's not the final results, obviously. The red counties are counties where the Yes initiative outperformed Trump. The blue counties are where they underperformed. So it's kind of interesting because if anything, you really would think you would see the inverse, because obviously a lot of the blue counties did go red, but they didn't go as red as they did for Donald Trump. Obviously, it was not the highest turnout election. If it was a higher turnout election, then you potentially could see those counties turning out redder, which is probably what we will see in some capacity during the midterms. So keep that in mind moving forward. But either way, a very good night for Republicans out of the state of Pennsylvania. The Republican initiatives seem to have passed through. There was an initiative the Democrats were trying to pass through about an anti-affirmative action amendment that was framed and worded in a very beneficial way for the Democrats. That did pass overwhelmingly as well. A lot of Republicans also ended up voting for that initiative. I think only like 3 counties didn't, and they were like the counties in southern Pennsylvania. But either way, it is important to note, overperformances and the initiative has passed. Doesn't matter what the map looks like, really. What matters is that the initiative has gotten through, it is going to pass, and Wolf's powers are limited. A big win for the right-wing populist movement in the state of Pennsylvania. Great win for, Trump supporters all across the state as well. And hopefully this is, a white pill. It's important to stay engaged. It's important to vote, obviously, because when we do, especially in some of these lower turnout elections, and including the midterms, obviously, we can actually, see some positive change be enacted. Because like I said, the energy factor is on our side. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Please like this video down below, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. Links are all in the description below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.